Welcome to 12 Ounce Sports Radio and The Burn with Mitch Show. Here's your host, Mitch Bernstein.
And a very good evening to you all out there in 12 Ounce Sports Network land. You are listening to 12 Ounce Sports Network. This is your host, Mitch Bernstein, and you're listening to The Burn with Mitch Show. Great to be here on Tuesday. We had just an unbelievable day here in the Philadelphia area. I mean, you couldn't get better than this. Nice sun, nice cool morning, good sleeping weather. Got out, actually had to wear a little cover up and then a little jacket, and then got into work and didn't need that anymore. Got home around 4 o'clock here Eastern time, and nice little breeze. Just a perfect day. And just so you know, I will be in a great mood tonight. I'm in a great mood now. Wake up tomorrow. Beautiful day again here. I'm going to the Phillies game. Now, my mood will change once something happens bad in the Phillies game. But, just getting to the ballpark. We know what that's like. Going with a fellow colleague from school and a graduate of the school who just finished his freshman year in college. So really looking forward to that, getting to the ballpark. Still not full, so pretty distance from people, and just looking forward to that tomorrow. And I'm also looking forward to the show tonight. Let me tell you what's going on with the show. At 6:20, we have been putting this out on Twitter a couple of days now. I'm privileged to have the daughter of Willie Stargell, Dawn Stargell Moore, sorry. Dawn is going to come on and talk about her dad and what she knew about her dad as a dad, as a person, and then how that filtered over with her when he was playing baseball, primarily with the Pirates. So winning 2 championships and just a tremendous ball player. So Dawn will come on and talk about that. And she's also going to delve into what she's doing now, as I believe she's a life coach, and talk to her about how her dad maybe had maybe influenced her in the job that she does now. So stay tuned for that. Dawn will be calling in at approximately 6:20 in about 17 minutes. Following up Dawn, we've got a gentleman who is out of New York City. He also has a sports talk show. His name is Mark Rosenman. Mark, you can find Mark at Sports Talk NY. And, we both love baseball. We also are hockey fans. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to primarily focus on this NL East, this group of teams that can't get out of the way of themselves. Actually, it's a good thing for the Phillies. A lot of injuries, so we're going to talk about that too, and we're going to get some talk really about what he thinks baseball needs to get more excitement. I'm going to get his thoughts on the 7-inning doubleheaders and the runner on second base, and I'm going to ask him a very unique question that I'm going to give him my answer to about his team. And then we'll talk a little bit about the NHL and the playoffs, which are ongoing right now. For me, it's anybody but the Penguins. So, I don't really care. I don't have a rooting interest at this stage of the game, except that anybody but the Penguins takes the cup. And then we'll talk about the Rangers for sure and get his thoughts on what the Rangers team has done or hasn't done this year and what the expectations are for next year. We end the show this evening at 7:25. Gary Livacari, he has a website that is called baseballhistorycomesalive.com. And Gary's a baseball historian. I mean, he's got a lot of information about history. He's been doing this from historian work for many, many years. And Those of you who love baseball, who love the history, we're going to get into some talk, comparing some things from history and the game today. We're going to get his take on the books that he's written. And just again, I have names of players that I'm going to ask him about that played back in the 60s and 70s, and we'll see if he can come up with a player that he can compare them to in current day. So that's our guest lineup for the evening. Looking forward to talking to all these folks as we go forward. A couple of things, three things that you need to be aware of, and we'll bring this up later. So for those who are just tuning in, you'll hear it, and folks tuning in later for guests will also hear it. We are currently running a victory dance contest. Again, not sponsored, but inspired by Ellen Adair, who's a Phillies fan who does a victory dance every time the Phillies win. I thought it'd be kind of fun to get people all across the country to enter and do their own victory dance, because we will have prizes and we will love to give out those prizes. And if your team wins on a certain night, feel free to get that dance mojo on. You make a 30-second video with music, and the rules are simple in terms of how to put it together. No more than 30 seconds. And please make sure you have appropriate lyrics, nothing nasty, and rated basically PG at the worst. And then if you do some moves with your hands, please no inappropriate hand gestures. And you must be repping your team. I did a video. It's not out there yet. I think I may have to redo it. But we'll see. If I get a lot of calls on Twitter to release my dance as it is on video, I will do that. So if I do get some of that from folks, I will have to suck it up and just put that out there, and that's the way it's going to be. And then, based on last week's guests, I pushed this out there too, and it's out on social media. Thank you to my social media manager, my daughter, Kelsey. We're having a contest revolving around the PGA Championship, Golf Championship this week. And first round's Thursday. And if you can guess the winner, and we could have multiple winners. If you can guess the winner, you'll win a golf prize. That could be, golf balls, golf tees, I'll golf markers, ball markers. I'll get a bunch of stuff together and mail them out. Now, if you listened last week, Bob Herrick, ESPN senior golf writer, he made the suggestion of the following players that he thinks could be in the hunt. He was right on with Rory, who won last week's tournament, Rory McIlroy. He also said Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson. I put in my guess as Jordan Spieth. So feel free to respond to that golf Twitter announcement with your guess, and if you happen to guess correctly, you'll win a prize. Multiple prizes can be awarded, but your entry must be in by noon on Friday. All right, noon Friday for those entries. And then finally, we have another contest that will be running next week. So again, Timothy Malcolm was on. He has this book that I was raving about and will continue to rave called Baseball Road Trips. He will I'll be giving away a book. That book, I was able to get 2 copies, but you got to enter. You'll be hearing about this more on social media. But the way to enter that contest will be very simple. Name your favorite ballpark. Very simple, not a big deal, right? Pretty simple. So that's what we're going to do next week after this. After this week, we'll run that contest about naming your favorite ballpark. Random winner. We'll go with retweets. I want to get to 1,500 followers. Once we get there, we'll determine a winner. So lots of fun stuff coming on here with the Burn with Mitch on 12 Ounce Sports Network, Zingo channel 761. Zingo, by the way, is an app you can download on your TV or on your phone or on your iPad, and get on there, sign in. It's easy to sign in, and click on put in. I believe the code is 12OZ, and you'll get the Zingo TV for free. You can listen or whoever has video on their shows, you can watch. So right now you can watch a blank screen, but listen to my voice on Zingo TV. So why don't you go ahead and see if you can get that done if you feel like doing that, and multiple ways to listen and watch our shows. All right, it is time for the what I do every week. I kind of do a Major League Baseball review. How many of you saw the nasty pitch that Kevin Pillar of the Mets took in the face last night? Oh, man. Lucky me, happened to be watching that. Ball was up, ran in, hit him smack dab in the face. It was kind of gross. You know, he's laying there, he's on his hands and knees, blood pouring out of his nose, and man, the poor guy. Found out today that he's got multiple nasal fractures, but I guess he did tweet out that he's going to be okay. But let's hope he can get back and get back in the batter's box. I can't imagine what that feels like. It's tough. I mean, a lot of players getting hit this year. We'll talk a little bit about that, plus injuries with Mark a little bit later. But that was nasty. All right, talking about the American League. I have my notes. I put team surprises. The Red Sox in the East, the White Sox in the Central, and that may not be a surprise. And the Oakland A's in the West. So 40 or so, a quarter of the season is done for most teams. And the Red Sox are playing better than I think anybody ever would have thought. The White Sox, people thought that they would be in the race, and they're there. Not Minnesota, not Cleveland for sure, but the White Sox. Again, it's early, but they're playing well. And the A's have a small lead in the West. But it's interesting to see now, and then we can look at another 40 games. Half the season comes in July. With the All-Star break, we'll see what that ends up looking like. But right now, those are the three. Now, in the National League, it's still close. I mean, there are. I mean, again, we'll talk more about this on with Mark. But this National League East is a travesty. Nobody's playing well. Just a freaking ton of injuries. I mean, it's really bad. The Mets are playing with somewhat of a minor league team tonight. I looked at their roster. Excuse me, the Braves. Acuna, he looked like he hurt his ankle again last night in the game. Their offense is not what it should be, as the same thing with the Phillies. A bunch of injuries. Gregorius is out. Harper's back in. It looks like his shoulder is feeling a little bit better. JT's been out. So it's just a matter of is it going to be survival of the fittest at the end of this for this entire year for the National League East? I don't know. If the pitching holds out for one of these teams, they're going to have the advantage. And everybody else in the Central and the West, except for the Rockies, it's still pretty close. There's nobody actually running away with anything. But the Rockies already look like they're out of it. So the only team in Major League Baseball that looks like they're out of it already. So interesting to watch, fun to look at. I have more of an interest now. I'm sure you do too. With these young players like the Acuñas, the teams that with Freddie Freeman, last year's MVP, and they're not hit. They're not, and they're not hitting. I pulled up, and I've got to find this. So right here, it's right in front of me. I pulled out the stats for the just the Major League, National League batting stats up to the moment. It's very interesting. And again, Mark and I will talk about this. Who leads the league, the National League in strikeouts by a huge margin? Drum roll, please. That would be my Philadelphia Phillies. Ugh, it's so annoying to watch them. It's ridiculous. It's just amazing how they just can't hit the ball. They swing and miss a ton. The least, and Mark is going to like this, the New York Mets, 295. So it ranges from 295 to 420 in strikeouts. So it's interesting to see the range, but it's also interesting to see that though they have the Mets 295 strikeouts, at least in their 35 games, they are last in runs scored with 122. Last, the next closest is the Pirates with 138, and they're last in home runs with 27. The Pirates have 26, and the Marlins have 37, and the Nationals have 39. So it's really interesting. They're putting the ball in play. What that tells me is they're putting the ball in play, but they're not. They're just not getting hits and scoring runs. In terms of hits, the Mets have 260, and I didn't circle this, but that is the least amount in the National League. So what's going on with this? And if you look at the scores from week to week, from day to day, there aren't too many blowouts. There's a one or two in a game, but there's not like every team is scoring more than 5 runs a game. It's an interesting season so far in terms of offense. How do you fix it? I don't know. I don't know if there is a fix. So we'll see again. We'll talk to Mark and Gary about it later in the program and get their take. What is going on with baseball offense? Now, for me, and people say, it's boring and whatever. I guess for the traditionalists like me, there are very few of us around. I like watching baseball. I like watching each pitch and see what they're going to pitch and what they should pitch, what they should throw, the pitchers. I just don't know if the young fans these days have an appreciation for it. And it's just the world that we live in. They want excitement, immediate excitement, like they get in a video game and they don't get it. Like football, and they don't get it. In hockey, they don't get it. In basketball, they don't get bored because it's constant action. I understand that. So it's a problem that Major League Baseball has. They got to figure out a way to fix it and bring the fans back. I've got some suggestions. I don't know what the answer is in terms of speeding up the game to keep people interested. I don't know it. I don't have any idea. It is what it is. They are experimenting with different things in the minor leagues, but I don't know if that's going to work. And I believe we have Dawn coming on right now. Hi, Dawn. This is Mitch. How are you?
Doing well, Mitch. How are you?
I am just terrific. Thank you so much for taking the time to call in. I'm so honored. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, it's an honor on my end. Thank you so much for thinking so much of our dad to even want us to be a part of the show. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Dawn. I grew up watching him play. I had Denny Mclean on a couple weeks ago, last pitcher to win 31 games in the major leagues. For me, I get the chills right now. I'm literally getting the chills right now talking about this because you go back and it's your childhood, right? And
Yes.
and I don't remember. I remember your dad and the way he got to the plate. You can't remember unless you see a YouTube videos of him playing. But the name Willie Stargell to me goes along the line of Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Sandy Koufax, because that's who I watched. And I told people, Dawn, and I'm going to get into this with you in just a second, but I think I want you to hear this. When I watched a game, like there was only one game of the week on Saturdays when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, right? The NBC game of the week with Kurt Gowdy and maybe I think Tony Kubek analyzing the play. And I would tell folks that understand we would watch the game, and it didn't make a difference if it was my Mets in the 60s or because every team had more than one superstar. Bob Gibson on the Cardinals. I mean, it was just such great baseball at that time. And your dad was part of it for me, so I just appreciate the fact. And I every time I meet a player, like I met Mike Schmidt once at a book signing here in Philadelphia when I first moved here 25 years ago. And I said to him, I said, Mike, that thank you, and I would say this to your dad, thank you for allowing me to watch you play. You are such a superstar, and to allow me to enjoy part of my youth by watching you play is what I would say to all these guys, including your dad.
Oh, that is beautiful. And you know what? It is just such an honor because, we looked at him as our dad,
Of course.
And it's amazing to hear the beautiful stories that other people share with us about their encounters and how he made them feel. Because for him to hear that would always do something for him, because he felt like he was making a difference, and especially when it was doing something that he loved. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, I have the baby of the bunch, Kelly, that is on with us.
Okay.
And Kelly's doing some multitasking, so I don't even know if she can say hello right now. But she's here with me, and she said she will kind of hang on and listen as long as she can. But she said,
I'm here.
Hello.
Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing.
Listening.
Oh, good. Thank you.
An awesome
terrific.
story.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Listen, I want to hear. So I need the context. Dawn, I got to tell you, and as a guy, you don't ask how old women are. Okay. I'm married.
Right.
I don't do it. I mean, I can't do that, right? However, I was trying to find some context with when your dad was playing and how old you were, and Kelly, same thing. I need to know that context. So when your dad won, and I'll start this way. In 1971 and 79, where were you when they won the championship?
I'm 51. So, and I was born in 69. So in 71, I was 2. In 79, I was, 10?
Yes.
So I was hanging out, getting on everybody's nerves.
But, so, all right, so now that I have that context, is Kelly, where's Kelly?
Yeah. I'm right here.
Are you Kelly? All right. And when was Kelly?
Yeah, Kelly is the baby.
Okay.
So in 71, I was 6, and in 79, I was 14, but I was living in Georgia at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that gives me good context. That's great. Thank you for that. I won't tell anybody how old you are. Please don't let it get out anywhere.
Thank you. They just know that we were kids.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So obviously, yes, you knew Dad as Dad. But at what point did you realize he played this game of baseball and it was his job? And what was that like?
It was very early that we realized that our dad played baseball. And whenever there was an opportunity to go to the ballpark, and it was, as I shared earlier, I moved to Georgia pretty early in life. So it was recognizing pretty early on that he would be on TV and to know that, oh, wow, this is what he does for a living. But again, it's just Dad. For Kelly's son, who grew up in Pittsburgh, for them it was, this is what we do every day because we're going to the ballpark to see Dad go to work. But it was fun because you had an opportunity to engage and interact with other people that were doing the same thing. They were watching their dads play, and they got a chance to run around the stadium in the meantime. So that, again, it just didn't feel like work. It felt like fun.
Yes. So and that's what I wanted to hear. So he would come home from work and be Dad. What kind of stories about people, guys on the other guys in the team, did he like to tell? Did he engage with you about what it's like to be a part of this? Did he tell some stories about other guys on the team?
His stories were really, really general because he really liked to keep work and family separate. So if there was a fun story about something that was child appropriate that was happening in the dugout or in the locker room, then of course we might be on the receiving end of that funny. But outside of that, there were no conversations with the kids about, what was going on with the team or another player. So, but our dad was a big jokester. So when we talked about those stories, and please don't ask me to repeat one because I don't know that I can on the spot right now, Mitch.
Okay.
But my dad was such a jokester that he was a practical joker. So you didn't know what you were getting ready to walk into in the clubhouse from him. And those would be the kinds of stories that he would share with us.
Yeah, that's the fun.
About what he did and how he got somebody that day.
Yeah. Did he do this? Did he do this stuff at home too?
Yes.
Okay, so now I got to hear some stories at home. Kind of fun. I mean,
so he was. Yeah. So as it related to him, I'm trying to think of a really, 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 really good one. Kelly, I might ask you to come off mute for a quick second. I'm trying to think of a really good one. Oh my gosh, Mitch, let's come back to that. Let's come back to that. He's done some real interesting things.
So I'm just going to spur your memory, perhaps. I mean, was he a big April Fool's guy? Did he do stuff on April Fool's, or is it just?
You know what?
I can think of a funny one. I can think of one of his practical jokes.
Oh, good.
So it was New Year's Eve one year, and me and him he was taking me to, I think I was like 20, 21 or 22, and we were going to a New Year's Eve party at a friend's house. But before we left, he had this ginormous, it's a bottle of John's Carry On, but it was empty. And it was like probably about from my foot to my knee. So it was probably, the bottle was about 2 foot big. It was a super duper magnum bottle. But it was empty. He had got it. He brought it home with him, somewhere else at some other event. And before we left, he opened up about 4 bottles of Corval and took a funnel and poured it in to the bottle. And he said, well, when we get there, we'll pretend like we've been drinking out the bottle. Since it's New Year's Eve. Yes. So everybody thought they were drinking Dawn, but it was Corval.
It was Corval. just a little bit different. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, but that's okay. Yeah. Well,
that's on New Year's Eve. No one can taste the difference.
Intoxicated. Because they have been drinking out of the bottle already.
Yeah.
So he was being bad. He was just being bad all the way around.
That's so funny. What was it like? So you guys, did you understand even at that age? Again, I think I know what the answer is, but how popular he was. I mean, he was on a team that was did you guys understand the We Are Family theme in 1979 and how that played out with you guys?
Oh, absolutely, we did. And as a matter of fact, as it relates to popularity, I'll never forget whenever he came to Georgia to visit. I was in high school at the time, so I played basketball. So even as he would come to the game, people would just be in awe and just, of course, flock to him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it was weird because I need him focused on watching me play because I don't see him often. So I need you to pay attention to my game and everyone else around him, getting his attention, wanting to have conversation with him. So in those moments, you truly knew that he belonged to everyone. And we would just kind of, take it for what it was, sometimes get a little jealous that Other people got a chance to get his attention as well. But it was in those moments that we realized how popular he was and the
Yeah,
impact he had.
and
Yeah.
it had to make you, so what you inferred just there was that it, the pride that you felt for your dad at that point, and that those points, were you able
You,
to feel that pride for him? Say, wow, that's my dad, that kind of thing.
yeah, and no, it was like, I need y'all to go sit down somewhere because he's here watching me. He's here. No, but absolutely it was. And then
Yeah.
as you heard the stories, I think it was Mitch, whenever people would be able to pull you to the side and just talk about the stories
Mm-hmm.
and the things that they remember, the encounters that they had with him, or where they were when he hit that home run. Just listening to those is when you well up with pride, and that is still what we feel now and to this day.
Yeah.
That those are just awesome memories, and to know that he continues to live on in the hearts and minds of so many is just really humbling and touching.
Yeah, that's great. And so tell me what he did. I mean, listen, in Pittsburgh, again, that team back in those days was the team of the
Yes,
city. Um,
yes,
and I'm sure he gave of his time to charities too, right? Because that's what most ball players do. What was his major charity that he, or do you remember if he what he did on those days off? Which
yes.
okay,
Absolutely. So actually, it was the Willie Stargell Foundation that was focused the focus was on sickle cell anemia. Our oldest sister, Wendy, it was paying homage to her and the fight against sickle cell in the African American community and lending research to that. So he would have celebrity bowling tournaments and activities to raise money and to raise awareness for sickle cell anemia. And those
great,
were big deals in Pittsburgh, yes.
absolutely, absolutely. I just had a question and lost it. All right, let me go on to something else here. That's fine. I'm sure it'll come back to me in just a minute. So, you mentioned that you were also with other kids and families. Was that when you grew as you grew up and he
Hmm.
even though he continued to play and then retired, great
Hmm.
memories for you. Um,
Hmm.
Friends still perhaps of those kids.
Oh, absolutely. And what you will find even on Clubhouse is that my sister, Kelly, Omar Marino's daughter, Bill Matlock's daughter, and there is one more. I think it's Bill Robinson's daughter. That
Mm-hmm.
they have a group on Clubhouse that is dedicated to the stories from the families during that time. So they get an opportunity to come together to share and to share those stories. And we will pop in as older siblings from time to time and just say hello and to add our color commentary. But it keeps those that keeps that group connected. So there were some great stories that everyone has to share, and absolutely those friendships are still there,
Still,
which is a beautiful. Yes.
absolutely, absolutely. It's almost like I used to work in summer camps a lot. Went to summer camp. It's like you never really lose those friendships. I've got folks on really not high school, but mostly family camp family that I keep in touch with. It's just absolutely it's heartwarming. And you go back to those memories that you have with those folks who you were so close to, and it does. It's just one of those things that keeps you connected. Just terrific. Dawn, I know that you are doing some real good work now, and I want to get into that a little bit too because I want to talk about what you're doing. Kelly, I'm glad you're here. I want to find out what you're doing too. And for both of you, my question is, how did your dad influence you, and how do you use that influence in what you do today?
The thing for me was, and my passion is, and thank you for that. More to Life Consultants is my passion. That is my baby. That is my labor of love. And what I learned from my father is that playing baseball and in his response and in his mind, it was literally playing, which was having fun. that anything that you're doing in life, if you can't have fun doing it, then you need to figure out what that is. And you need to figure out what your purpose is so that you can enjoy what you do each and every day. Something should excite you to get up and move every day. And that's what he instilled in all of us. And more to life is truly what that is for me. It is my passion. I am an executive career and life coach and committed to supporting organizations and individuals that are looking forward to not only finding their purpose, but building their leadership base so that people can show up as authentically and in the best places so that they can get the most and make the most out of each and every day. If we are in, in workspaces and we're spending 8 hours of our day there, that's 8 hours or a third of your day, which equates to a third of your life that you are spending doing something, and you're never going to get that time back. So why not maximize each and every moment of the day, but what you're doing and getting paid for it? So maximize it. So that's what I help people do. But my dad's work ethic, my dad's ability to show up every day, to play his best, and to be committed to playing ball, which is having fun, is what resonated with me, and that's what I bring with me to More to Life.
Very nice, very nice. Yes, it's so funny because when you graduate high school, graduate college, what are you doing? You talk to people, and you like what you're doing, and if my siblings are listening, sorry, I have to bring this up. Though my brother was a lawyer, I believe he liked his job. He did. One of my sister now is in Manhattan, and she does really well as in HR and in personnel issues, I believe, and training. So she likes her job. My other sister, who's just 4 years younger than me, I think she liked it, but wasn't overtly. I don't know if they're having fun. And here's the other thing, Dawn. So here was the interesting part of growing up and getting my first job. They were making, all three of them make a hell of a lot more money than I did. I decided to go into the nonprofit world. Teaching, working with kids. And whatever it was, however that morphed into, whether it was teaching sports classes, I became camp director for many, many years. And then, I love training counselors about how to work with kids. I don't know that I had we all have bad days, right? But I every day love what I do, and it makes the freaking day go by a lot quicker if you like what you're doing, as opposed to going, oh man, it's only 10 o'clock. I have to go, and I can't, and you know what I'm saying. So you have to do, and I tell the kids at the school I work at now, I ask them, the seniors are graduating in 4 weeks. What do you want to major in? And at some point between now and graduation, I'll say, listen, the most important thing is do what you love. If you don't, it's going to be a struggle. You need to find something else. So it's so very true, very true. Kelly, what about you? What are you doing now, Kelly?
Well, what I'm doing through life, I was a banker for 20 plus years. And in 2018, I went and got licensed to sell insurance. I left banking, and I opened up an insurance agency. It's called All About Me. And my web link is allaboutmeins.com. But my telephone number, which links back to my dad, the number is 866-888-1936. But what the 888 is, he was inducted to the Hall of Fame August of '88, and the 1936. Those are the amount of times that he struck out in his career. And which, funny that you asked that question. What he instilled in me is to never give up, because there's been times like, Dad, come get me. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. And he was like, I'll come get you when it's over.
Yeah.
When
That's
it's
right.
over and it's completed, then I'll be there. But you're going to hang out and you're going to finish what you started. So that's why I like those 1,936 strikeouts.
That's awesome.
And it's a lot of them. but
Right.
it got him to where he wanted to be. He made it to the pinnacle of his career. So that's what I'm doing. I
Awesome.
do Medicare insurance.
I may have to.
Life
Hold on, Kelly. I may have to call you. that crap is so freaking confusing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I may take you up on that.
Yes, please do.
Okay. A couple of other issues that I think are important for women right now, and I'm talking to two women. There's two of this. It's an equality thing, and a lot of issues with equality with women in sports. I am a proponent of it. You think back and the women's soccer, the women's national soccer team that came out in the lawsuit, and they won the first one, which didn't give any money, but I forgot exactly what it did, but it's getting better, and women not necessarily women in sports and making more money, but women in sports in positions of leadership, right? We're getting better. What else do we need to do, ladies, to help continue to recognize women who deserve it? Now, Kim Ng, obviously, very, very important with the Marlins, but she's won. I mean, women umpires, same thing. Not necessarily leadership position, but I've talked to Perry Barber, who's an ump, and she says we're close, but we're not quite there yet. Breaking that good old boy network of getting women in there in different things. How have you dealt with that? Have you had to deal with that in your careers, and have you seen it, and what are your thoughts?
It's interesting that you say that, because as we talk about women in sports, it's women in general, it's being able to have a voice at the table and to be seen as someone that is equal and ready to demonstrate their value and their worth, and having to work harder in order to be seen. So I think what you said, you hit the nail on the head. It's about the ability to have the conversation. So if we're having the conversation, then that's a wonderful thing, because at least it's raising the consciousness. But we got to go a step further. We've got to make sure that we're putting some things into action. We're putting some. We're saying we're allowing our actions to be seen in our walk. So walking and aligning walk and talk have got to align. We can't just talk about it. We now have to put some things into action. So are there quotas that we need to remove because the best person is actually going to get the job? Are we going to remove some of these activities that are gender biased, that tweak the ability or give a heads up to the ability to understand who you're hiring, that allow companies to continue their biased practices and move away from hiring the best person? So when we talk about equality, we have to look at the hiring practices, we have to look at the qualifications, and we have to ensure that owners and organizations, whether it's sports, whether it's corporate America, that they're looking at the qualifications of the person and not necessarily the gender. But again, that's the conversation that needs to continue to happen. And as you have the fans, as you have the people, as you have the shareholders and stakeholders that are becoming enlightened about diversity and the impact that it has on the community, they need to be the ones to hold the pressure to those key stakeholders, so that they understand that we want to see the difference. And that's when the change comes. So the squeaky wheel gets makes the most noise. Oil. I think is the same. Oil. Yeah, so that's it. It's the oil that we need to make from the society's perspective, and we have to make sure that we're holding people accountable to those diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives by putting some actionable things in place to allow that to become a reality.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting better, but it continue to push until and who knows when who knows at what point we decide that, okay, we've had people decide, well, okay, we have one woman, that's enough. No, it's not. You just make sure you interview as many people as you can, and if it happens to be a woman who's the best, go with it. Break the norm. Someone needs to break the norm. The Marlins did in baseball. Good for them, and now maybe this could be a start.
Right. And it's
Right?
not just going to be it's not just going to be about just the hire, just to say that I've done it. Because what we recognize is that there are things that organizations can put in place to say that they have met the diversity, equity, and inclusion norm. But it's you got to put it into action. So don't just hire. You're going to have to walk it, and it's going to have to change. Your culture is going to have to change. You're going to have to put some things in place to align your culture with your hiring practices and your commitment to that diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative.
Exactly. I am going to try when I retire and move to Wilmington, North Carolina in September. I'm going to try to start. Just so you know, I'm letting you know I'm involved with. I want to be involved with girls and baseball. So I'm going to try and get a girls baseball team going. You may have heard the name Justine Siegel, who's got a Baseball for All organization. So I'm going to try and get involved with that because old traditional me, right? I'm 65 years old. I'm thinking baseball. You know what? Why not? So I've been
Never too
very
late.
involved, right? I want to do it. That's not softball, but baseball. Why can't girls play baseball, right?
Mitch,
Yeah.
I played baseball in Little League. I played Little League baseball. This is Kelly.
Yep.
Growing up. So, like the 6th grade, 7th grade, I would take my little bike and go over to the field, play with the team. In middle school, also, I was the number 1 touch football player.
Oh, is that right?
Nobody can keep up with me on the field. And then in high school, I played softball. So
Okay,
I'm
good.
a sports girl. I understand your need for some girls baseball. I'm all for you.
Yes, and I was just and Kelly, good job. We segued. That was my next question. Were you girls athletes, ladies athletes, playing girls sports when you were growing up? So I got Kelly's answer. What about Dawn?
Yes, Dawn played basketball. She ran track. She played volleyball, and even played basketball at the Community College of Allegheny County in Pittsburgh. So yes,
Nice,
I was an
awesome,
athlete in high school. Yes,
awesome,
love sports.
yes,
Yes.
awesome. Who's your favorite team?
Oh, okay. So what sport?
Silence, baseball.
Hey, baseball is the Pirates.
That was a trick question. That was a trick question.
You know we are diehard fans. Absolutely. Hey, wait. And
Even though,
Yes.
even though we've
Yeah.
been waiting for a while to have the ultimate glory, still going to go ahead and be a fan.
You have to, right? You got to support the
Can't
team. You have to. Absolutely.
Yeah, got to.
Um,
Even in Atlanta.
So Pittsburgh through and through, regardless of where we are, Pittsburgh teams are that's it.
That's it.
We're diehard
Absolutely.
fans.
Absolutely.
All clothes are black and yellow.
Yes, absolutely. The one last question. Did you both attend? Did the entire family attend the Hall of Fame ceremony?
Oh, we did. And Mitch, you know what? That is one of the premier pictures that I posted today.
Yeah, that was
So
great.
there.
Oh, by the way, yes. Excuse me for interrupting. I am so glad you did that. They were awesome. So thank you for doing that. That was great.
Oh, you are so welcome. So that picture of our dad, it's the Hall of Fame induction. That was in '88. It was our grandmother, grandfather, aunt, our dad, and then all of our siblings. We were all there together. So it was a beautiful occasion, beautiful ceremony. Yes.
Yeah, that was great. When I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw that you did that, I was just big smile on my face. I was like, look at those. That's great stuff. Just terrific. Ladies, Kelly, nice. Thank you for coming on. It was a nice surprise. Dawn, thank you so much for doing this. Again, your dad was terrific. And you go back and you go, gosh darn it! I wish there was a chance for me to meet him at some point. But one of those guys who I know treated everybody with respect. I've read that about him. Great family man and terrific ball player. And just so thankful for you to be able to come on with me and talk a little bit about your dad. And I'm glad we could talk about both of you and what you guys are doing now. And it's just awesome. So thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. It was an honor to get your message. So thank you so much for including us. If I may, would like to leave how people can reach me if they would love to. It is More to Life Consultants, M2, the number 2, Life Consultants .com. And my phone number is 855-888-2840. And again, that's m2lifeconsultants.com. And everyone can reach me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Stargell Moore. So again, we just appreciate you, appreciate the platform, appreciate the love, appreciate the stories, because it is through venues like this that our dad continues to live, and we are humbled and we are grateful.
Well, as with me, it's just so cool to be able to talk to family members of a Hall of Fame baseball player. So and strong women. I don't want to just say just because of that, because I knew, Dawn, what you did. I saw a little bit about what you were doing, so I thought it was important to spread your message too.
Thank you. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that.
All right, and Kelly, I may be giving you a call.
I'll be happy to help you out, whatever I can do.
I'd be great. Thank you very much. All right, ladies, have a great night. I appreciate it again. Be well.
Thank you. You do the same.
Take care.
Take it easy. Bye-bye. Well, that was sure fun. I really enjoyed that. Just awesome. You're talking to daughters of a major league player who was in the Hall of Fame. And just great to get their perspective. All right, folks. In just a few minutes, we got Mark Rosenman coming up. I got to have him give us a call in just a few minutes. I got to run a commercial here. We'll have him call in 5 minutes. I'm going to have you go take a break if you need to. We'll be back in 2 minutes. And, I guess I'm getting Mark coming in right now. So much for that commercial. Well, hello, Mark Rosenman.
How you doing?
How are you?
Good.
Good.
All good.
Wait a minute. I got to find out where you are right now because I just saw pictures you posted a little while ago. You were
from the Bronx Zoo.
You were at the zoo. Wait, so Mark, I'm reading this, and you were in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm like, wow, he's going to make a call from Trinidad and Tobago. He's a good guy. You were in that.
No, it says Bronx Zoo, New York.
Right, I know, but it also said Trinidad and Tobago. Was that the part of the zoo that you were in? Is that what it was? I don't.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm laughing. I'm like, okay, and then I tried to fit. I kind of figured it out. Oh my goodness! All right, so. How the hell are you?
Doing good. All good. Certainly a lot better than Kevin Pillar.
Oh, well, we're going to get into that. Oh, my God. So, yeah, let's talk about this NL East, Mark. We'll get into Pillar in a minute. So I started the show by talking about everybody's still in it. They all suck. And injuries have a lot to do with it. And my take is that at this stage of the game, the team with less injuries, the healthier team is going to come out of this division. What do you think about it?
I'm going to disagree with you because right now the Mets are the least healthy in the division. Because they played so little games and they have so many makeups, they're going to be making up double headers, which are 7-inning double headers. Mm-hmm. And when they make up these 7-inning double headers, they're going to have Noah Syndergaard and Carrasco back. So they are going to be, right now they're winning despite what's going on with their depleted lineup. They fortified their bench. Obviously, Almora and Pillar got injured. That's part of their depth, but you're still getting stuff out of Pillar and the Palazzo. So they're doing okay. I mean, the key is going to be what they get out of their outfield. They made a trade today just for cash for Maven. maybe went down to AAA. I don't see him being here for a while. My move is I would have went out and got Yasiel Puig, because Puig is playing in Mexico. That would have been a guy I think that could have given them a little jolt. But I think, listen, their pitching is going to keep them in and game out. As long as DeGrom comes back and Walker comes back, they'll be in great shape. I think they're the team that's built to withstand the injuries the most, because they're going to be in every game because they're pitching.
Okay, so let me go on this, and I'm gonna, I can't say much of my Phillies, but I pulled just for you. I pulled the stats today, batting statistics. At this stage of the game, the New York Mets are last in runs scored, and last in home runs. But what's interesting,
and what place are they in?
they're in first, which is yes,
Right.
okay. But if this trend continues, I mean, listen, hardly. And my Phillies, the same. You look at the Phillies, it's the same thing. I mean, they're eighth in runs scored, they're seventh in home runs, hitting 44. But what's interesting is you're last in runs scored, last in home runs, but you're first in strikeouts. You've only got 295. The Phillies are worst with 420. So what that tells me is they're putting the ball in play, but they're
It doesn't necessarily tell you that either. Because don't forget, the Mets have played less games than any team in the majors. So that number is a little misleading. So
True.
Don't forget, they've played a lot less games than everybody else. But Lindor is not going to be hitting the way he's hitting. Lindor is going to turn around. Alonso is going to catch fire. Conforto is going to come back. McNeil's going to come back. This trend is not going to continue, and that's why I think they're the team that's going to definitely emerge from the East this season.
You don't think Atlanta has an opportunity with? I mean, Soroka's out, right? He's done. Who else? I mean, Acuna's got perhaps a nagging injury now, but
they just lost another pitcher because of a tantrum after a game. So yeah, I just think. When you start getting the Braves have good pitching, but they've taken a hit. But again, these 7-inning, doubleheaders are tailor-made for the New York Mets because they have guys, between Stroman and DeGrom and Walker and Peterson. Those guys can all eat up 7 innings with no problem. And that's before you get Noah and Carrasco back. So
right.
I just really think that, if they had started off slowly, I think those were all must-win games. But they're doing okay despite all these injuries.
And I'm going to say the same for the Phillies. I mean, they're doing okay. Now, again, it's interesting to see that they've scored 170 runs. But, Mark, what are your thoughts? Let's just take a look at the league as a whole. So let's break it down. I mean, you got the Dodgers and the Reds are leading the league in runs scored. In essence, it looks like the Dodgers are averaging about 5 runs a game. Same thing for the Reds. Looking at the Phillies, 4 point something. But if you look at the Mets, 122. I mean, I love the way you are so confident. But you divide 122 by 35, you get a little less than 4.
But then
you're hoping Conforto and McNeil and Alonso come back and continue to play and hit.
Right, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
I am not a big analytics guy, but you can spin numbers any way you want, and you can take the Mets and divide them by the games they've played, but then you might want to go a little deeper and see what they've been since Chili Davis had been fired and what their new hitting instructor is brought to them, and what their runs per game since that point has been, including all these injuries. And it's a little bit on the uptick. Different philosophy. I don't think they have to hit that much. I just like the way, other than when they went to Tampa, which is just a nightmare for all New York teams. The series they played before they went on the road was just old school, really great baseball. I mean, advancing runners, running the bases well, going first to third on singles, being able to, sacrifice, good defense. That's when they were all healthy. I'm not a big Rojas fan. I think that, he's going to cause them some games. But I just think in the overall scheme of things, they are the better team in the East. The Phillies, listen, you know what? I know you guys probably love him. There's something about Bryce Harper that I don't know. The guy just doesn't seem to be able to transform teams into winners, and when he leaves, the teams win. So I just think there might be a little more to it. Real Muto, I don't know how much his hips are still bothering him. They got a lot of question marks, and on top of it, the Mets have seemed to straighten out their bullpen, where the Phillies' bullpen is just a nightmare. It's what the Mets were last year.
Well, Listen, the Phillies are better this year than they were last year, even at this stage of the game. There's no guarantee. Nobody here likes Neris as the closer. He doesn't have the head for it. Prefer to have this kid Connor Brogdon, perhaps, but he's young. You need to have a certain mindset, like Familia used to do, right? Like Aroldis Chapman, like Brad Lidge did. I mean, everybody had like Mariano Rivera. They were almost. It was almost like when people would pit against those really good closers back in the day when you and I watched as kids, and even now, there was almost like a fear factor, like, oh shit, here he comes. We're not going to get a hit, right? We don't have that.
Well, it's not only that. It's not only that. Baseball has changed so drastically that other than the Mets, most franchises these days are happy getting 6 innings out of their starters, especially coming out of the shortened season last year. So they're not, really pushing these guys to high pitch limits. So you're going to your bullpen in the 6th inning. So it's not so much your closer; it's the guys that have to get you to the closer. And you look at what the Mets did with Loop, and some of the other acquisitions they've brought in, May, and Cairo. They've got a nice bridge. They got 3 really solid guys to get to Diaz and Familia. So I like what they've done, and plus the fact they don't really even need that because most of their starters go 7.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that we don't have. I mean, you got this young kid? What is his name? Is it Tejas? Is his name Tejada?
You're talking about
Lucas, the kid who throws 100, and he's like 5'9", 160. I mean, he throws 100. The young kid.
Yeah, most of their guys. You talking about Sean Reed Foley?
No. The who is it?
Drew Smith?
No.
Cairo?
No. He is.
You talking about the close, Edwin Diaz?
No. We're going all around him. The young kid that you Yes, it's your. Yeah, it's on the Mets. He's on the Mets. He throws 100, like a 99, 100. He slings the ball. Young kid. What is his name?
I don't know which one you talk. I mean, the guy that they got in a trade is Sean Reed Foley, and he's really good. He pitched 3 scoreless innings last night against you guys.
Let's see.
Against Atlanta, I mean.
Yeah, Atlanta. Yeah. Where is the Mets? I'll get this in a minute. All right. So here's a question for you. Yeah, and here's the thing. As a Phillies fan, the biggest concern I have right now is Aaron Nola. I mean, you want your starter, you want your number 1 starter to pitch well. Like nice to have him pitch well 3.5, 4 games, right, out of 5. He's not doing that, and that's a huge issue for us here. It's just so annoying to watch him throw, and it's been an issue for the last last 2 or 3 starts. It hasn't been very good. So that's our biggest issue right now. Who is this guy? Why can't I find him? Is he?
You thinking Franklin Kilome?
No, maybe he's on the maybe I'm thinking about the kid on the Braves. I thought it was on the Braves. Anyway, maybe he's on the Braves. I'll look. But Nola's our issue. We got Wheeler going tonight. Wheeler's been pretty consistent. Eflin's shown that he can be a starter and pitch well. Even Vinny V has been surprisingly serviceable, if you will, that he hasn't been in the last 4 years. But our number 5, Chase Anderson, is just the worst. So, if these guys can put together some kind of a streak of pitching well, top 4 game after game, and just continue to win series, we'll be fine. The other problem is, again, these strikeouts. They strike out. Mark, I don't know how they miss the ball so much. Ball's right over the freaking plate, and they swing and miss. I don't get it. So I don't know what's going on there. Harper had a sore shoulder the last couple of nights. He's back in the lineup, though, tonight. I don't know how well he's going to hit. They just haven't had pieces around. They didn't have pitching sucked. I mean, the pitching sucked last year. And the year before, they have no farm system. They have no really young guys that are going to come up and play, except this Alec Bohm kid who's sophomore slumping. So it is a concern. We like JT. Hoskins at first base can be fine. He's been hitting the ball, not necessarily hitting home runs, but he sucks in the field. He's not a great fielder. And this young kid, Maton, is the biggest surprise on this Phillies this year. They need to, Segura, he's hitting, but he became an issue with Girardi the other night. So, it's in a state of flux. I was optimistic they were going to win more games because of Girardi, but that's kind of fallen by the wayside. So, I don't see the Nationals in the East right now doing much. Yes, the Braves could maybe second half of the season when they get people back and Freddie Freeman hitting and Acuna hitting. So I think it's going to go down to August, and that's when the race is going to really heat up. I think it's going to be close through the All-Star break, and then it's going to heat up.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, again, why I really think the Mets, because of all these post moments early, that's going to be a huge factor for them. I really think that's going to propel them. I think they're going to win lots of doubleheaders. Because 7 innings is a whole different ballgame.
It really is. All of a sudden, you look up and it's the 5th, and you got 2 innings left, and you're getting shut out.
Yep.
What about a couple things? Well, let me give you my pick. One of my questions was for you was, who would you have preferred that the Mets picked up in the offseason? You answered with, or even now, Puig. Yes. You know who I think the Phillies should have picked up? Jackie Bradley Jr. to play center field. Because,
listen, I mean, you can't go wrong with Jackie Bradley. I mean,
right?
That's for sure.
Man, that center field position is killing us. And again, it goes to the Phillies farm system. It goes to thinking that Odubel, and he was hitting under the Mendoza line, way under, and now he's at 230, so he's hitting the ball better. But he's not. He's an average center fielder. McCutchen, he should be done after this year. Didi is now out with an injury. He's not your long-term guy, so it's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens with our division. But my pick would have been Jackie Bradley Jr. So great that you brought that up early, and I could finish that topic. So here's the thing, philosophically. How do we inject more excitement into the game? I mean, you and I, Mark, when you go to a game, are you sitting there and watching the pitching matchup and watching the pitcher pitch and thinking what pitcher should pitch next to the batter and think that way? Because I do. As an old school guy, I sit and watch the game. I would sit there for 15 innings and watch a game because I love it. I just love being there, right? It's not the way right now. How do you inject more excitement into baseball? Do we need to inject more excitement into baseball?
I think you need to roll back some of the things they've done. I think what the Chicago White Sox do this year will be a big indication of where the game's going to go, because you got an old school manager who is not really that big into analytics. Yeah, granted he does. I mean, back in the day, with Duncan, they used to go over the pitchers and where the pitch guys, but he's not a big shift guy, an analytics guy. He's still a lot by feel and gut. And if the White Sox, I mean, they're a very talented team to begin with, but if the White Sox should win a World Series, Major League Baseball has always been a copycat league, and maybe you're going to see more of these old school managers who aren't middle managers. That's the problem now. The problem is that baseball has become a corporate entity. Every team, and this is what just cracks me up, because the bottom line is numbers are numbers, right?
Yep.
So if everyone crunches the same numbers and everyone has the same exact data, the analytics should come out to be exactly the same. So every team conceivably should be 500 because they're all using the same data points.
Right.
So
Yeah, right.
it's just the way that they apply them, which is different. And then obviously, I mean, because you know what? You can take a look at a batter, what he's done in certain situations, but it doesn't also take in consideration streaks. So Lindor right now is just brutal, but he's not going to be this way all season long. So if you're looking for certain trends, you know, he might get hot again in one series and totally destroy all analytics because they're looking at what he's been trending so far.
Right.
So for me, analytics are what's killing baseball. The shift is what's killing baseball. The stubbornness not to lay down a bunt against the shift. Okay, Ted Williams stopped the shift by bunting. Okay, if Ted Williams can do it, there's no reason why McCann can't do it. Okay, they got to put their egos and their future contracts aside and lay down a bunt instead of trying for a home run. The stolen base doesn't exist anymore because someone thought analytically, you know what, you're risking it out at second base, and there's no longer a bunt to move a runner over to second base because no one wants to give up an out to advance a runner to second base because there's a higher probability that the number 2 hitter now, who's all of a sudden become your best hitter in your lineup, will hit a home run and make it 2-0, as opposed to a contact hitter who can hit behind the runner being in the traditional number 2 spot. He'll lay down a bunt, or have the leadoff hitter being your fastest guy who could steal a base and then bunt him over to third. With 1 out, a fly ball gives you the first run. That's where everything's gone haywire. It's using these numbers. Everyone's playing like Stratomatic baseball for real, as opposed to playing the game and the feel. And you know, that's what's got to change. You need one old school guy to come in and tell the general manager, listen, you hired me to manage this team. Mm-hmm. I'll use the analytics when I want to use the analytics. I mean, the greatest example ever. Like, how do you take that pitcher out in the World Series in Tampa last year?
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, what is that? You know, if that was Bob Gibson, Bob Gibson would have held on to that ball and told the manager, get the F back in the dugout.
Yep.
I'm not coming out of this game. But now these pitchers, okay,
look at the computer sheet and see what it says.
Yep.
Mark, I mean, listen, we are kindred spirits in that. I mean, everything you said is exactly what I would have said. I have been saying ever since this analytics crap started. There's some measure to it, yes, some, but like you said, I don't understand the giving up and out when it's the bottom of the ninth or even the top of the ninth, the away team, right? And you have a man on first, right? It's tie game, man on first, nobody out. You're going to let the guy swing away and possibly hit into a double play. Then you have nobody on base, as opposed to laying down the butt and get the guy in scoring position where all he has to hit is a single and score a run. Mark, I don't get it. I just don't. So you and I speak the same language. I don't understand it. It's hard for us old school guys to get that, and it's really frustrating when you see it happen. And yes, hit the ball the other way with a shift. Why can't you beat the shift? You should be able to do it. It's easy.
Well, that's what's going to happen. What's going to happen is now you're going to have certain organizations like what the Royals did years ago when they had their Royals Academy, where you teach certain fundamentals. There's going to be a paradigm shift that this whole launch angle stuff is going to stop. You're going to have guys that are going to start hitting to all different fields, and that's the way coaches are going to coach at an early age because the home run hitters aren't going to be the big money guys. It's going to be the old type of Rod Carew, the guys that could hit George Brett. The guys that could hit 347 and get on base. And you'll see a paradigm shift in about 5 years where the home runs are going to be down and averages are going to be up. Strikeouts are going to be down because they're going to start preaching that in the minor leagues.
Yeah. I have to. I hope so because it is, again, as much as I love it, a good old pitcher's duel, I don't love a pitcher's duel when teams are striking out 9 and 10 times a game. Freaking make contact.
Yep.
Let's shift over a little bit to some hockey talk and our Rangers. Yes, a rebuild. Any surprises on your end from what you saw with this team from beginning to end of the season this year?
No. You know what? The only surprise is what happened at the end of the season. The fact that J.D. and Gordon are out and then Quinn was out. huge surprise, huge shock, ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. The one glaring thing for me, and it's hard, it's hard to quantify this season considering they played in the toughest division in hockey. There wasn't a lot of practice time. They lost their entire coaching staff for almost an entire month. They lost their star player because of a political hit piece in a newspaper in Europe. Their best player under him, started the season, coming off of COVID, multiple injuries. Every team had it, and no excuses. Youngest team in hockey until the trading deadline, and yet, through 56 games, they had the same exact amount of points as they did the season before in the toughest division with all those factors. 3 seasons under Quinn, got better. Younger players, kept on inserting them into the lineup. The one thing, well, two things that you could look to if you wanted to defend the firing of JD and Gordon. Number one was the way they handled the Tony DeAngelo fiasco. Basically, they should have kept that in-house. They should have, had a closed-door meeting with Tony not present and said, listen, he's not going to be on this team for much longer, but however, we need to play him so we can trade him. Instead, they went public, sat him down, and right now there's a $3.5 million asset that's immovable. That's a problem. So that's the one misstep I think the management team made. As far as Quinn, I can't put it on him because he can only coach the he had. But the way they went out in the play-in last year and the way they performed against the 4 teams that made the playoffs, I believe they were something like 11-21 against the 4 teams ahead of them that made the playoffs, and I believe they were like a minus 18 goal differential against those teams. But listen, they're the youngest team in hockey, and that's to be expected. I thought the rebuild was moving along well. I think Quinn was the right guy for it. I don't like the names that are being, mentioned as, successors to him. But until they name a coach, I can't complain. Is Drury the right guy? All reports are. Gordon is the guy who basically mentored him, but he does, Chris has his own mind. We'll see how much of his own mind he has when it comes to coach, because Glenn Sanders definitely has his ear. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. So, But I wasn't surprised. I didn't expect them to make the playoffs in that division.
Right.
They contended up until last week. They spit the bit against the Islanders.
They did. Ooh,
and
that was terrible.
That was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it was. But listen, some of those young players, and I think, and Kreider, I think, great influence on the young kids. Was it Lafreniere, Panarin? These guys, Panarin, yes, they look really, really, really good, and it was fun to watch them play. We'll see. That division, like I said, geez Louise, are you kidding me? But who do you think is going to come out of there? I hope the Penguins lose. I can't stand the Penguins. Nice quick overtime win last night for the Capitals, right? So what are you thinking about these teams in the East here?
I think from that division, whoever survives the Islander Penguins series is probably going to beat the winner of the Capital Bruins, because that's a war. That is going to be. It's physical. It's not as fit. The Islander Pittsburgh series is not nearly as physical at all. I think they're going to have that advantage of facing a beat up team. I have a feeling the Bruins Capitals probably going to go 7.
Yeah.
Listen, if Jarry played any type of goal, the Penguins should have taken game 1. That was a big loss, especially when they tied it up 32 seconds after the Islanders took the lead in the third period. They had momentum, and then Palmieri, gets that goal. So right now, if I'm an Islander fan, I'm feeling fairly confident. But you know what? It's a long series. We'll see who plays in goal tonight. Varlamov is, back on the roster. I don't know if he's getting the start. So we'll see. I would say that the winner of the Pittsburgh Islanders series is going to be the team that advances. I just think, Washington or Boston's going to be too beat up.
Too beat up. Series. Yeah, they are. And that's that's some good, almost old time hockey. I mean, they're really running into the boards, crashing people, and playing good hockey. I mean, they're just playing. I watched a bit of it last night. It's just fun to watch, you know. But I don't have a horse in this. Just my only horse is that Pittsburgh Penguins lose. I can't stand Crosby. Can't stand the jerk. Mark, listen, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. You're a wealth of information in the New York sports. Absolutely love talking to you. It was just terrific. I will talk to you at some point later about some things. And, I hope to make it to New York sometime this summer, and maybe we could get to a game.
Sounds good. Absolutely. Your listeners can follow me at Sports Talk New York. They can check me out on Amazon, have a couple of Ranger books and Met books, and obviously every Sunday night on the 365 Sportscast Network. We got a great interview last week with Anthony Scaramucci that's up on YouTube.
I saw that. Yeah, I have to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I urge the listeners that are Met fans to listen to that because he is a big part of the Met community, was part owner for a while. He bought the Mike Piazza jersey, so the fans could still see it. Very interesting guy for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, listen, appreciate you taking the time, my friend. We will talk at some point, and
I'm disappointed, though.
What?
You didn't ask me what my burn is. I'm shocked.
Oh, Mark, all right, we got 3 minutes.
It'll only take me 1 second. My burn is when a manager bats the pitcher in the 8th position. That is my burn.
Oh, yeah.
I can't stand that.
Has it happened much at all this year? I haven't seen any film.
The Mets have done it 3 or 4 times.
Have they?
Tony La Russa, the inventor of it, I think I'm sure. Well, he doesn't have to do it with the DH. So I don't know if the White Sox have played in a National League park yet. So,
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Sure. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You got it. All right.
All right, Mark. Take care. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Mark Rosenman. You can follow him at Sports Talk New York. He's got some books out. He's got a radio show, interviews he does with a lot of unbelievable people, like you said, Anthony Scaramucci, political guy, but New York Mets fan. So I encourage you to listen to him about that. And our final guest is Gary Livacari. Hi, Gary. This is Mitch.
Hi, Mitch. How you doing? Good. How you doing? Good.
I'm awesome. Gary, are you in the Chicagoland area?
Yes, I am.
I thought so. I read that.
Yeah.
Park Ridge? Is that still Park Ridge?
Yeah, Park Ridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to live in Des Plaines.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Wouldn't you know it? Yeah, that's
go
amazing.
figure, right?
Yeah.
Did you happen to watch, little off subject here, the John Wayne Gacy documentary?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh, Gary, you got to watch it.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, geez. Listen, we lived in that area. You live in that area still. They mentioned Park Ridge a lot.
Did they really? Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's just freaky. It's just kind of...
Yeah, okay, I'll look it up.
Look it up. I mean, you in Park Ridge will probably know more of the locations that you see on the screen than I.
Oh, I'm sure I would. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's creepy crap.
Yeah.
So Gary, how are you? How's everything in Chicago?
Good, doing real well.
Good. You're a Cub fan, right?
Yeah, that is correct. I am a longtime Cub fan.
You are. My father-in-law, may he rest in peace, also a longtime Cub fan from many, many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Somehow I got him to be a member of the I think it was longtime fan club, something like that, of the Cubs. And then all of a sudden, because his sons moved to St. Louis, he became a Cardinal fan. I said, "You can't do that."
I've never heard of that before.
I got you the certificate.
Oh, it was probably a diehard Cub fan club.
The diehard, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Because I joined that too at one time.
And he moved to the Cardinals. I was like, "Jim, what are you doing?" I like the Cardinals better. I said, "Man."
That's unheard of. I've never heard anything like that before.
It is, but he's living with that, unfortunately, up in heaven. So he's dealing with all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Gary, you're a big historian, baseball historian, which I love.
Yeah.
How did you get involved? What was your earliest interest in baseball? And And let's talk a little bit about how you got started in writing your books.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a baseball fan going back to the 50s, and I always enjoyed looking at old pictures of baseball players, but I always wondered who they were, and I sort of carved out a niche for myself early on, identifying players in old pictures. I started doing it with the Baseball Fever website in about 2005, I think it was. I was like the unofficial baseball identifier, and then that sort of blossomed. And then I started with another guy, a Facebook page called Old Time Baseball Photos, where we would put, old pictures there. And then I started writing essays about not just identifying the people or writing a short little couple lines. I started writing essays, and that really caught on. And a couple years later, that was 7 years ago when I started doing that. A couple years later, I started a website because I figured a lot of people like to read, but a lot of guys just like to look at pictures. So on the website, I could put my essays and photo galleries. So I'm sort of appealing to everybody, to people who like to read about baseball history, and also people who just like to look at pictures. So, which is fine. A lot of people just like to do that. So every essay I post, I put 15, 20 pictures to go along with it, and it's gone over real well. Now, the Facebook page, believe this or not, I'm not making this up, has 83,000 followers over the 7 years that we've been doing it.
That's terrific. Wow.
Isn't that something?
You.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a niche out there for people who love reading and looking at pictures of old baseball players.
Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, so folks, let me just tell you, I mentioned it earlier in the show. Your website is baseballhistorycomesalive.com. And Gary also puts out, and it's daily, right? A daily blog, which you or Bill Gutman writes articles, right?
Right. It's about every other day. What happened there was we realized we were just writing about old-time baseball, which we consider 1970, before 1970. And then we realized, well, we're sort of neglecting the current game. So what we did then was we started a blog where we write about the current game, and we just, our reflections on the way the game is going, and that gives people, a chance to comment on that too. So we have both going now. We have old time, and now we got the blog is more for the modern day.
Yeah, and I get it when I get it, I look at it and I read.
Oh, do you? Oh, good.
No, it's awesome. No, it's you and I and Mark Rosenman, who I just had on, we can't get enough of baseball, and it's great. And you have written some books.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about the books, because I want people to hear what you've done.
Okay, yeah, sure. The first one I wrote was called Memorable World Series Moments. What that was just a collection of articles. I love writing about old World Series and so I selected maybe 25 of my favorites, the articles that I had written over the years, and I just put them all together in an ebook, basically, which I self-published. And that went over real well, and I was real proud of that one. That was my first one. And then the second one was I was contacted by a son of an umpire named Paul Pryor. The old guys will remember him.
Yes.
And he asked me, his name was Fred Pryor, and he said, Gary, would you help me write a biography of my father? I said, yeah, sure, I'd be glad to. So he sent me hundreds of pages. Paul Pryor kept a diary going during his whole life, and mainly through his years as an umpire. So I just edited that one. I put it all into Word. I just did the editing for it, and then self-published it, and it came out real nice. And then the third one I did, about a year and a half ago, which is I'm most proud of, is called Reflections on the 1919 Black Sox.
Right.
Time to take another look. See, I'm the only person on the planet who thinks there's more to the story than the conventional wisdom. So I had written maybe 25 articles related to the Black Sox scandal, and I put them all together into one ebook, which I self-published, and that went over pretty well too. But you have to have an interest in hearing the other sides of the story. So I think there's a lot more to that story than the 8-man out version that everybody is familiar with.
Right, and I think you're right. And Shoeless Joe, the gentleman who has the Shoeless Joe Museum, in South Carolina, has all sorts of information too, which is really great. I mean, listen, It's funny because growing up, I was not a history buff at all. I didn't like history.
Yeah, yeah,
When it comes to baseball history,
yeah.
Gary, it's
I do know. I know exactly what you mean.
it's just
There's a certain charm associated with the old days of baseball, and so much of American culture is intertwined with baseball history. When you're reading about baseball history, you're learning about American history, especially
Yes.
the early 20th century. There's so many different aspects to it, and you just become a student of American history. There's so much to it. I'm so proud of what I've learned about the Negro Leagues. I mean,
absolutely yes.
I mean, I can't even tell you. The Negro Leagues in the '30s were just a phenomenon. That was the biggest social event of the East-West All-Star Game. That's what I was trying to say. Played at Comiskey Park. People came from all over the country for that. It was the social event of the year. The South Side of Chicago was just hopping. I mean, I learned so much about that. There's just so many different aspects that you can get into when you get it. There's eras like I'm into the dead ball era. I love writing about the dead ball era.
Uh-huh.
There's personalities, like obviously Babe Ruth. I've written I don't know how many articles about Babe Ruth. I just put one out recently on his wife, Claire Ruth, who's a very interesting character in her own right. Lou Gehrig's wife is a very interesting character. There's so many. There's decades you can get interested. You can get into the old ballparks.
Yes.
My friend Gutman, my co-editor Gutman, has a series going on the old ballparks. And that's been going over real well. People love reading about Forbes Field and Ebbets Field, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I really enjoy. Yes, I got into the Negro Leagues when I found out it was their 100th anniversary last year.
Yeah.
Women in baseball, right?
I got a category on women in baseball. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just like you said, it's never ending. You can pick any kind of subcategory.
Right.
Filled so many pages of words, of pictures.
Yeah.
In that, and they just sit there and just take it all in.
You're right. I've got a category on forgotten stars. Like guys who played in the '30s, but were overshadowed by like Babe Ruth and Rogers Hornsby. But these guys were good players. And every time I write about one of these guys, I put it in that category, and I always get a feeling. I feel real good because I maybe saved this guy from the dustbin of history. If I didn't write this, nobody would ever remember this guy again.
Right. And I think it's funny, as we found out with the Negro Leagues, their families are still with. They got families.
Yeah.
And they're still around, and they really appreciate.
Oh, and what I was going to tell you too about the Negro Leagues. One thing I picked up from reading about the old timers. They loved the Negro League. I know it was a tragedy and everything, but that was their league, and with Jackie, when Jackie broke the color barrier, there was wonderful, everybody was ecstatic, but there was an element of sadness too, because they knew it was the death toll for the Negro League.
Exactly. And that's interesting because you read all about, Jackie breaking the color barrier, but then you don't read until you really get into it, that it was not really the best thing because there went the Negro Leagues.
Right. That was the price that was paid for Jackie breaking the color barrier. Was you knew it was the death toll for the of the Negro Leagues, and it was a wonderful institution. They loved it. Many of them would say they just cherished their days, in spite of all the hardships that they went through. They cherished those days in the Negro Leagues.
Oh yeah, I talked to Sam Allen, former player. Actually, I had him at an assembly at our school virtually, and I've talked to him quite a bit. And it's just again, Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro League Museum, said they just wanted to play. They didn't know they were making history. They just wanted to play baseball. They just wanted to have a chance.
Sure.
And that was the beauty of it.
Yeah. If I made one other quick thing on that is I did an interview with Sean Gibson, Josh Gibson's grandson. It was one of the, I'm really proud of that. I was able to do that. And he told me that a lot of the old timers, they thought Jackie was a great ball player for sure, but everybody knew that the best was Josh Gibson. It was just sort of understood. It was just a tragedy that he never wasn't the one to do it,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's just, the way it works out. But I've spoken to Sean too, and and just looking at what, again, if you find they're finding more statistics, and man, these players were so darn good. It's just,
absolutely, absolutely. Another good thing I had is contacts with relatives of former players. I've got a whole category on that. I call it, we're contacted by a relative of a former player. And, I've got, I have a Dizzy Dean family contact. I have the great-grandson of Home Run Baker is a good friend of mine now. I've got just Rocky Colavito's granddaughter contacted me. I probably have 50 of those in that category that I've written about.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I want to go back to your World Series book because I'm interested to know.
Yeah.
So how far back did you go in the book with the World Series, and I want to find out what your thoughts were, and how. So what was the range of the World Series, the top 25?
Oh yeah, it was. I think my earliest one that I put in there might have been the 1912. That's the Snodgrass $30,000 muff. And I think the latest one might have been 1966, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So the range is all in that, from that time zone.
I got you. But you got to do it. Maybe you got to do a new one because I know I was 86, 69. Yeah, we all know what happened in 69, and then 86. With the some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Gary, get working on that, would you? Come on, get on.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll throw it back to you. I always. Welcome guest submissions. So if you want to put something together on any one of those,
okay,
we'll put it in our blog because it's a little more modern than we like. But we'll put it in the blog category, and I'd be more than happy to run it for you. So if you want to think about that, just feel free to let me know.
Sure. I actually was. I've told folks this other guest before. I was living in Houston at the time in '86. We happened to get many season tickets, which got us to the All-Star game that year, which got us to the 1986 NLCS. I mean, you talk about a series, and you talk about players who didn't want to go against Mike Scott, and they knew it.
Yeah.
Read books that Keith Hernandez said we did not want to go. We did not want to go to Game 7 because he was in our heads, Mike Scott.
Yeah.
I went to Game 6. I was there when the Mets clinched it, and I was like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? But yeah, there's so much there. It was great. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are the players? Here's what we're going to do for the next 15 minutes. I want to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Are the players from let's go? I'm just going to take it from the '60s. Better than the players of today? And the reason why I ask you this is this. And I just told Dawn Stargell more about this. I said, back when I was watching the Saturday game of the week.
Yeah.
I didn't care what team was on because they all had all-stars and Hall of Fame players. Don't know if we have that now. So is there any kind of comparison? Are the 60s players better than the players of today?
That's a good question. They're bigger and stronger today, but are they better baseball players? I would say probably no to that question. You're definitely bigger and stronger, and they throw harder and they hit the ball farther probably, but are they better ball players in the sense that we think of good baseball? I'd say probably not, especially where the modern game has evolved. I would say probably not.
Yeah, I agree with you totally.
Yeah,
you have. I mean, again, it became diluted with expansion. 30 teams, but you can maybe name one player in each team, maybe. But
maybe
not back in the '60s. In '60s,
no,
2 or 3 or 4.
That reminds me. I just did a birthday post for Willie Mays. He turned 90 years old a couple of weeks ago. I put to show you the love that people have for old time baseball and a figure like Willie Mays. I put a nice article on the Facebook page. Believe it or not, I got 14,000 likes.
Wow.
1,200 comments and 3.1 shares. It's just phenomenal. Oh, and it was seen by 500,000 people. We're just freaking out over this. That's how much people love, the players from that era, and especially a player like Willie Mays.
Oh, hopefully, knock on wood, he gets to stick around for a while. I have to meet this guy somehow.
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, that was one question. Now we had Dawn Stargell Moore on earlier, talking about her dad, Willie. What are your thoughts about Willie Stargell?
Oh, Willie Stargell?
Yeah.
Well, I just remember him from my youth as a tremendous ball player. I just remember him killing the Cubs every time he came to the Wrigley Field. There was a few players like that I can remember. Forget it. Willie Stargell. The Pirates had great teams there in the late '50s and '60s, and I just remember him being a tremendous ball player.
Oh my gosh, yes, it was. with his signature, batting stance and
Yeah.
and getting ready with the windmill.
Yeah. He was,
Right?
he was just intimidating, to put it mildly, at the plate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all these big guys, him and Clemente. I mean, he won 2 championships. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, I told her, I said, I wish I could go back, and I can probably, and just, we can't now go. I'm sure I saw the Pirates play the Mets at Shea Stadium with Willie at some point.
Yeah.
But who knows, when. But
Yeah.
be able to go back and watch these guys play. I do remember one though. It's very vivid in my mind. It's there. Watching the Pirates and Roberto Clemente.
Uh-huh.
We were sitting upper levels of Shea, a buddy of mine, and he hit a ball into the gap, and he hit first base, and it looked like a rocket was lit under his butt. He ran. He got to third base easily.
Yeah.
Getting up with a triple. That's how fast he was.
Yeah.
And I remember his arms flailing and watching him run. It's so stuck in my mind. It's interesting
Wow.
how that sits there.
There's a
amazing.
great couple great YouTube videos of him throwing from right field. I don't know if you ever get a chance. You got people who did not see him play should definitely go there and watch. Look at search Roberto Clemente and it'll come up throwing from right field to home. I mean, it's just a phenomenal arm.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Those are fun. I'm gonna do a little exercise with you if I can. I think
All right.
this would be kind of fun. If you could compare the players of today with those back then, comparable type players. So I'm going to bring up the first player back in the day, Willie Mays. Any comparable to Willie right now that you could think of?
Well, Trout would be an obvious one.
Okay, yep.
And again, I'm weak on the current players, so I may not be able to answer a lot of your questions on that. I'm more in the old days, but that would be an obvious one.
Yeah. Okay. How about this one? You might be able to figure this one out. Not that there's an actual right answer, but Koufax. Anybody who's comparable to him today? Lefty fire. I don't know that is there a lefty fireballer with a breaking pitch out there?
I'd have to think about it. I offhand, nobody really comes to mind there. He was in such a class by himself there.
Yes, absolutely. How about good old Brooks Robinson, vacuum cleaner at third base?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that Arenado guy for sure.
Yep. Arenado,
I would definitely put him in the same category there. Yeah, he's a great ball player.
He's amazing. What he gets to and actually makes throws to get guys out at first are just amazing.
Yeah.
Two of my favorites, my all-time favorite players. First one, Nolan Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could say DeGrom, right? You could say DeGrom right now.
Yeah.
He's just, throwing 99, for 7-8 innings is just nuts to me.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the guy who I also was an admirer of immensely, Tom Seaver.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
He I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't think. Maybe that's a Wheeler for the Phillies right now because he's got that fastball, but he's also got a nice off-speed pitches too.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to think about what we did in terms of watching these players play, and how good they were. And then,
yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, he passed away last year. We did a real nice write-up on him at the time, and so many great players passed away last year too. It was just an incredible year for that.
Hard year.
Yeah, very hard year. Yeah.
In your mind, another question for you, and you can take this any way you want. Who do you think has been some of the most influential baseball players in the past?
I'd say Gehrig would have to be right in there. The way the courage that he showed at the end of his life there.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely. I would put him up in that class. Babe Ruth too. It's hard for us from our perspective to realize the impact that he had on the American society, the culture.
Yeah. I mean, we talked to, like I said, culture in the '80s. I mean, in the in wartime, right? In World War II, when these guys had to
Yeah,
go to war and the women played.
yeah.
Um, I think
Another one
that.
that I would have to put Stan Musial as a great inspirational player too.
Mm-hmm.
Just a
Okay.
wonderful individual man and a tremendous ball player.
Right. Absolutely. And then you go. Let's go '60s. I mean, you're talking again. Mantle, Mays,
Yeah,
Maris, right?
yeah,
Bob Gibson.
yeah,
How about? And I had Denny Mclean on
yeah. I know you
last
mentioned that
week.
to me. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, talk.
there's a guy. Look at what he's gone through in his post baseball career. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I go back to when I have actually I have his ball that I got inscribed at the Hall of Fame 2 summers ago. I mean, and you look at the statistics, and this was the way it was back then, right?
Yeah,
His Cy Young year of when he won 31 games.
yeah. 68.
ERA 1.96.
Is that right?
280 strikeouts.
Wow.
336 innings pitched.
That,
This, Gary, ready for this?
yeah.
This is the one to me that explains the difference back in the day to now.
Complete games. That's where you're going.
Yes, sir. 28.
Yeah. Yeah.
28 complete games.
Yeah, isn't that something? That's the dividing line between the eras when and those when they used to get 20, 25, 30 complete games a year.
Yeah, and so the question is, as you look at evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go back to Cro-Magnon and how we all developed and what we've done and how 5-year-olds now can play on a computer. But
Yeah.
why was it back in the day that these pitchers can pitch complete games and now we baby them so much? Are the arms? I don't understand it at all. I just have a hard time.
Yeah, I do too. Bill Gutman, my co-editor there, he's always on that topic. He cannot understand the injuries or why they can't throw complete games. And he always says, why don't they go back and talk to some of these guys who are still alive and ask them what they did, how they trained?
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a reason for all these Tommy John surgeries every time you turn around. And they didn't have that, anywhere near that type of injury problem back then. And they could throw, like you said, 300 some odd innings, 336 innings. That's unheard of. No one would never happen again.
And they were still also throwing hard. I mean,
Yeah.
Gibson, Denny Mclean. I asked Denny, I said, how fast do you think you were throwing?
Yeah.
He says, I'm thinking I was about, when I was on, I was throwing about a minimum 95.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
And Seaver, same thing. Obviously, we know Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
But, you see pictures in the paper the next day, a lot of times, right, in interviews, Noli and mostly Noli, with his elbow in ice, right?
Yeah.
Steve, the Baltimore Orioles, Steve McNally, Jim Palmer.
Yeah.
They would all. Yes, that's a good idea. Somebody should go talk to say, wait a minute, how did you guys get to throw so many complete games back in the day, and this day it's such a rarity to get a complete game.
Yeah, I know. Well, a lot of it has to do with the specializations. They didn't really discover, the specialized closers and middle relievers. More money entered into the game, they were able to throw more money at more players, and I think that contributed to the specialization of the pitching staffs like that. And I think that's a big thing. Once everybody knows you've got a closer going to be coming in, or in middle, and you have middle relievers, you don't have to pace yourself. They don't pace themselves like they used to.
No, they just all out.
They throw as hard as they can for 6 innings, and then they're out. They know it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go real quick. I got a few minutes. Let's look at the baseball standings. So your Cubbies are 500, but they're only 2.5 games out. I mean,
yeah.
And Pirates, no one expects them to go anywhere, but at this stage of the game, they're still in it with 5.5 games out. In the opening of my show, I said the National League is wide open except for the Colorado Rockies. They're 10.5 out. They're done already.
Yeah.
But if you look at, the team that I'm obviously my Phillies, the Mets, the Phillies are 1 game out. Braves are 3. Miami's 3.5, and the Nationals are 4. So through 40-ish games, it's close still.
It's close. Yeah.
The Central, you've got the Cardinals up 2 on the Brewers, 2.5 on the Cubs, 3 on the Reds.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are the surprise in the National League, and I think the White Sox certainly are a surprise in the
oh my gosh,
in the American League.
Oh, the American League for sure. And you look at let's go to the American League. You got the Red Sox. Nobody thought that they would be, 8 games over 500 at this stage of the game. The Blue Jays 1.5 games out. Tampa Bay 2. Yankees 2.5. Orioles, we knew they weren't going anywhere. Anyway, they're 7.
Yeah.
Now the Central, the Sox again 3.5 games up on the Indians. The Royals, if they don't get their game together, they're going to be out because so are the Tigers already, and so are the Twins.
Yeah.
That could only be a 2-team horse race through the end of the year.
Yeah.
120 games to go.
And what happened to the Twins? How did they fall off so quickly?
The pitching. I think it's the pitching. I don't know what else to tell you, but I think the pitching messed them up.
Yeah.
And then in the West, you have the Angels. Trout is now out for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
You got a calf injury, so who knows what's going to happen with them? Albert Pujols, how does it work out for him? He's going to maybe they switch some things around and put him in first base and get somebody else out there to the outfield. Who knows? But the Astros are only half a game out. Mariners are 4. So it's still that's why I love baseball. I don't, it's a marathon. We all know it.
It is. It's a marathon.
But I love the marathon. I love the marathon. I love it.
So we all do.
Oh, it's great. It's great. So hopefully your Cubbies will, they'll stay with it for a while. And
yeah, I think so. I don't think they're going to win, their division, I guess I'd have to say, but I think they'll be competitive.
Well, listen, in terms of, got some statistics today. So the Cubbies are 5th in the National League in runs scored. They're 4th in home runs. And in the middle of the pack in batting, the Reds leading batting at 252. The Cubbies are at 234. We go down to the Brewers, you're batting 214.
Yeah.
They're scoring runs. They've got, middle of the road again in hits. They're still in it. It's just a matter, I think, and I told Mark Rosenman, he didn't believe it so much, but for the East anyway, that the team that stays the healthiest throughout the year is going to be the one that's going to be in it.
That's probably true.
If they have talent, right?
Yeah. And, in today's game, though, has evolved such into a home run and, and strikeout game. It's not the same game that it used to be. So that's taken a lot of the luster off of it, I think, too. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, the Cubs had twice as many strikeouts as they had hits.
I know. I was looking at that. Well, listen, you're talking strikeouts. My Phillies lead the league in strikeouts.
Do they really? More than the Cubs? Holy cow.
420.
Jeez.
Yeah. 392 for the Cubs. They're tied with second with the Giants, the Cubs, and the, 392. Where am I? 392. The Marlins, the Cubs, and the Giants. So they're second in strikeouts. See, it's amazing they can't put the bat in the damn ball. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's the way the current game has gone,
It's unfortunate. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
Well, Gary, listen, I thank you for coming on. I really
sure.
I love talking baseball history. Folks, you must check out baseballhistorycomesalive.com.
Yeah, all one word, yeah.
Yep, and there's so much information that's there. And then you get the emails twice a week. Is that what it is, Gary?
Yeah, it's at least twice a week, yeah.
Yeah, on great articles, current and former players. It's a lot of good baseball stuff to read.
Yeah.
Good job on that.
Thank you so much.
Gary, thank you. I appreciate you coming on, and maybe we'll be in touch and do it again later in the season.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks,
right.
Mitch. Yeah.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye. All right, a lot of good baseball information tonight, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to take a 2-minute break, come back, and give you some information on baseball as it stands right now, today, scores, and next week's show. I'll be back, take a 2-minute break. Talk to you then.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
And welcome back, 7:56. You're listening to The Burn with Mitch. As we close out our show, we're going to hand it off to Captain Lou at 8 o'clock in about 4 minutes. Lou, are you doing a wrestling show tonight in addition to the other guests you have? I believe you said you were. So Lou's got some stuff on. He's talking some hockey. And I'm going to see if I can find Lou. Where is Lou? Oh, Lou's on after this. He's got a good show coming up. I'm trying to find what he's doing tonight. Where the heck is it? Oh my gosh, I can't find it. But listen to Captain Lou, channel 761 on Zingo TV, 12OunceSportsNetwork.com/live. Thanking our guests, Dawn Stargell Moore, Mark Rosenman, Gary Livacari for coming on tonight. So here's a couple things. Next week's show, I have 2 guests confirmed. Talking Cooperstown and baseball. That'll be Frank Russo coming on. Talk about books that he's written. In addition to Jonathan Fink talking about the Baseball Gods Are Real book. A good conversation about, to me it's all about fate. Well, we'll talk to Jonathan about that. Hoping to get Mike Kay on to talk about the Eagles and NFL football and the draft. The week after that, Alex Carr, Phillies reporter, talking Phillies. Then we got our old friend Brendan Deeg talking Eagles, and then Eric Reese coming on and talking Flyers. That's June 1st. June 8th, I will not be on, taking a little bit of a break. When I get this next guest, this is going to be huge. I made contact with a huge guest. Until I get confirmation and a date, I won't let it out, but your baseball fans, you're going to want to listen to this when I get them. All right? Don't forget, Victory Dance. Come on, get on that. Adair Burn with Mitch Victory Dance at yahoo.com is where you can send your videos. Make a guess for the PGA champion from the PGA Championship golf tournament this weekend. If you guess correctly, you will win a prize. I will make sure you win a prize. I will get your address and send it out to you. And following week, we're going to give away a book. Timothy Malcolm's book, Baseball Road Trips. It's a phenomenal book. You're going to have to follow the Burn with Mitch Twitter, see the rules, but most likely you'll need to name your ballpark, retweet and tweet, follow Tim and I. Getting to 1,500 followers is the name of the game. We get there, we give out, we select the winner. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for being here. Quick update. Not that many of you may care. Maybe you might. First and second, Phillies have men on first and second, bottom of third, 1 out. Thank you for being here. This was the Burn with Mitch on 12 Ounce Sports, handing it off to Captain Lou and the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Take care, everybody.